Imagine a world where artificial intelligence doesn't replace human connection, it deepens it. This is a world that's being built by Dr. Dhireesha Kudithipudi, a global leader in brain-inspired and energy-efficient AI, and the founding director of the MATRIX AI Consortium for Human Wellbeing at UT San Antonio. This UTSA graduate is the creative mind who launched the nation's first MD/MS program in AI, building bridges across science, healthcare, and policy to get human intelligence and artificial intelligence to work in harmony. We now welcome Dr. Dhireesha Kudithipudi.
Thank you for having me here, John.
Thank you for being here with us. I'm really excited to talk to you, especially about Matrix a little bit more, but I do want to start with some background information about you. Where did all this stem from? Where did this start from? Just your curiosity with technology to begin with, and then leading into AI?
That's a great question. My interest in technology has started in a very non-traditional way, in a sense that I really didn't grow up surrounded by computers or gadgets. I grew up in a very small village in southern India, to say a farming town, where technology really meant something very different.
In what way?
In a sense that you're trying to use the devices that are around you to solve the problems as a community. It's really measured in terms of the ingenuity rather than, do I have the newest gadget? Do I have the newest device? I was looking at for lack of a better term, the human creativity around me. How people are thinking, how they're adapting, how they're really collaborating. This was a great exemplar situation for me to grow up in. When there are floods coming in, how people come together as a community and try to build solutions so that we as kids could go to school. This was the environment I grew up in. So later, when I studied computer engineering, I really saw technology as an extension of a similar spirit I've seen growing up.
It seems as though a lot of this was done, and I don't mean to exaggerate, but survival. Tell us how those experiences and your upbringing shaped the way that you lead AI research at UT San Antonio.
To be honest, John, I don't think I realized that my upbringing or childhood has helped me or shaped me in the way I'm approaching technology until very recently. When we were starting the MATRIX AI Consortium, we had a really grand vision on how we can build a brain trust of scientists that can develop and deploy AI technology that would help in human well-being. And in order to accomplish this, you need partners from really diverse entities, not just from UT San Antonio. You needed to partner with UT Health. You needed to partner with someone who is strong in deploying technologies in real world, like Southwest Research Institute. And you also needed to partner with the city of San Antonio because you need to work closely with the people you're trying to build the technologies for. So this type of partnership, when I proposed initially, it sounded very ambitious on paper. It's not very common in academic settings to take this approach. It's a lot of times, as I mentioned, focused on building performance-driven AI technologies. Whereas here, we are trying to put human in the center of it.
I want to get into Matrix in a second, but as I mentioned, you're an expert in AI. And before we can talk about what Matrix does with AI, I do want to have an artificial intelligence conversation, primarily because this has now become a buzzword, so to speak, in our society. But what are some of the misconceptions? What are some of those things that I guess people need to understand a little bit about artificial intelligence and the way it's being developed, the way that people like you are trying to use it? From my understanding, it shouldn't be seen as the Terminator coming down the street, but more so a tool for all of us.
To be honest, AI has been quietly part of our everyday lives for more than 2 decades. And long before it had the face or name that we see in today. So, for example, if you own a smartphone, you are using AI every day. Every time you're asking for directions on your phone, you are using AI. Every time you are searching something on Google, you are using AI. Every time you are picking a movie on Netflix or picking your music on Spotify, you are using AI. And if you think of hearing aids, they're using AI rather than being simple amplifiers, sound amplifiers. They're actually using AI algorithms to help reduce the noise that the user experiences around them. What changed in today's world is it has become very visible to us. It's talking to us, it's creating with us, and it's learning from us in real time. That's what has shifted. But in reality, the truth is AI has been evolving alongside us for quite some time, learning, adapting, and shaping, in some ways, how we live on a daily basis and how we work. So to your question about the Terminator part, every technology that has been developed can be used for good or evil. I don't see AI any different than any of these other technologies that have come before it. You can think of the same questions that we asked when the internet boom has happened in early 2000 as all the bad things that could happen in the internet. But you could also see how that has helped us connect more closely over the last few decades. And I would see the same thing with AI. It's really about how us humans use the technology and amplify human creativity with it.
I do want to shift now into Matrix a little bit more. I know you talked a little bit about the idea of Matrix. Can you explain it in more detail and give us an example of how you imagine Matrix to have an impact on everyday life?
Matrix is really built around a single guiding question. How do we design AI systems that improve human well-being? And to answer that question, we need scientists from multiple disciplines to actively collaborate and work together. So we need scientists from engineering, from computing, from medicine, from ethics, and even community leadership. So of the 85 research scientists or the brain trust we have in Matrix, every project, every collaboration, and every grant that we pursue is an attempt to answer the central and deceptively simple question. So instead of saying, here's the AI we built, where can we use it? Our scientists are asking the question, here's a human problem. What kind of AI would genuinely help the human? Matrix has a portfolio of $55 million today that is coming in from support through various organizations. There are National Science Foundation, NIH, Defense, and several other organizations. And we also partner with global AI institutes to answer some of these questions. So for example, to your question, John, during the peak of COVID, we were tapped by the city of San Antonio and our university leadership to help how AI can serve the community in understanding the case surges that are happening. And what our team did was we used real cell phone mobility data and developed an AI model that could predict how changes in distancing would impact the virus. And what this did was it gave the city a smarter and a data-driven and also a faster decisions that you could make during the pandemic. So we were really giving the reports to the city every day so that could help them make informed decisions. And this team included clinicians, demographers, AI scientists, and several of our students. We built a real-time dashboard in a matter of weeks. And this was really at the very early stages of MATRIX. So this approach really does set us apart nationally. It's positioning us as a leader in the AI space.
That example you just gave really shows the potential of what you guys can do. As you mentioned, 85 scientists and how they all come from different disciplines. As I go to the MATRIX website right now, I see the list of those researchers who are part of this effort and that they are grouped in these things called thrusts. And what purpose do they individually serve?
The idea behind thinking about these thrusts is, what are the core elements that we need to design or develop when we are building AI for human well-being? We need a fundamental thrust which advances the core technology itself. And that's our neuro-inspired AI thrust. In this thrust, we are looking at the human brain, which is the most elegant learning system, and ask, what can we learn from it? Can we emulate this in AI? And so that we can adapt, learn, and remember things. The second thrust is really focused on the deployment aspects, which is the machine learning and deployment. So how can I take this model that I have built and deploy in a real world scenario? It's not enough to build the best AI model. You need to understand the data that is being ingested into this model, the settings in which it is being deployed. For example, if it's in a smart home, you really need to understand the constraints you're working with in where you're deploying this system. And that requires a completely different expertise. And the third one is human augmentation and well-being. Here is where we kind of flip the narrative. I think the popular thinking is that AI is going to replace humans, but it's really about expanding our ability and boosting our capability using AI technologies. That is what we are trying to do in this thrust. And the last one is the trustworthy AI. So if you think of it, none of these other technologies that we are building will be valuable to the community if they don't trust. Is this AI transparent? Is this model explainable? Is it bringing in any new biases as you're building this model? So if you can kind of piece it out, each of these thrusts are helping us get one step closer to building that solutions for human well-being.
I want to talk about some of the projects that the consortium is working on, specifically one called THOR. But before we get into that, I think we probably need to give everybody listening a quick lesson in neuromorphic AI and computing. And I know as I said that, people are already lost. But can you explain what it is, what you're doing with that, and how you can try to make everyday life better with it?
Neuromorphic computing, the term might sound very technical, but the concept is very simple. It is computing that is modeled after the human brain. So instead of taking a traditional step-by-step processing that most computers do, what we are doing in neuromorphic computing is we are designing AI systems that process information similar to how humans do. And what it does is it gives us the ability to build new kinds of AI systems that are extremely energy efficient, that can operate under 20 watts of power, but they're also plastic, resilient, robust. You asked me about THOR. I want to provide a little bit of a context why projects like THOR are really important and the need of the hour in the AI community. If you want to make critical decisions in emergencies, whether it's in life support systems, whether it's in autonomous vehicles or in real-time monitoring, a matter of milliseconds makes a difference. So you want these AI models to make these predictions or classifications in less than a millisecond. Whereas if you have to design such AI systems that make these predictions, the cost today is in trillions of dollars. And they can take up to 1 to 2 gigawatts hours of electricity. Think of this. This is similar to powering an average American household for over 120 years. It's quite expensive in terms of dollars as well as in terms of the energy price you're paying. So in order to solve these problems, we need AI systems that operate under extremely low energy, compute, and memory resources. And that's where really the THOR project comes in. In here, we are building cutting-edge neuromorphic hardware for access to the entire US community. We are the hub.
That's very impressive. I do want to leave you with one last question. I want to look into the future. I want to look into 5-10 years into the future. How do you see AI being incorporated into our lives more? And how do you envision Matrix's role in that process?
I think about this a lot. I think in the next 10 years or in the next 5 years, maybe, AI will be woven so deeply into our lives that we'll stop thinking of it as a technology, perhaps. It will be just a part of how our world works. I think the real transformation won't be about building smarter machines. It will be about more capable humans. And as we started off this conversation where I was alluding to the point that AI, like most successful technologies, should become a silent partner in everything we do. Helping doctors make faster, safer decisions. Helping cities run cleaner and more efficiently. And helping students learn in ways that adapt to them. More customization, not the other way around. So you can see where I'm going with this, right? It is not going to be a tool or a technology, but rather it is a collaborator, hopefully, that we can trust. One that can amplify our creativity and our productivity. And that's where Matrix comes in. Our role is to make sure that this future is built on that trust and transparency, and the technologies we are building are boosting human capabilities.
Well, Dhireesha, we look forward to see what Matrix does in that space and how it's going to help make all of our lives better. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And as we look ahead, the story of Matrix is just beginning. We're counting down to a milestone. Matrix's 5-year celebration in January of 2026. Stay tuned for more conversations with Matrix scientists who are shaping the future of AI and human well-being. Follow Matrix on LinkedIn or visit ai.utsa.edu to see how you can be a part of the movement. This episode of Launchpad is brought to you by the Office of University Strategic Communications at the University of Texas at San Antonio. This podcast is available on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Subscribe now and don't miss an episode. Stay up to date with the latest news about UT San Antonio by visiting news.utsa.edu.